If you keep any tabs on the lefty media world or different Justin Trudeau cheerleaders out there, I think you'll notice that over the past year, they don't even really say anything positive about Trudeau these days. They merely attack Pierre Poilievre and the federal conservatives as mean, nasty people, and nobody likes them anyways. It's the mean girls way of trying to do politics. You can't sit with us because you voted for Pierre Poilievre, and that's icky. Just pretending like if they project enough bad vibes at Poilievre, that somehow Canadians will abandon him and keep voting for the guy who's been destroying the country. Justin Trudeau or Jagmeet Singh, take your pick. Both are equally responsible for it at this point. But I want to go through some of the videos that these Trudeau cheerleaders post, as well as one of the most embarrassing pro-liberal publications that I see pop up all the time on social media. I don't think it's because their work's good, but it's provocative in a this is extremely dumb sort of way. But first, let's start off with this one lady who made a TikTok video that says little PP in the header because she is very, very smart. I'd have to get something up on screen here because it reminded me of it. But this video, when I show it to you, the thing that can't leave my brain while I watch it is just imagining, as she's filming this TikTok video, that the scene from Trains, Planes, and Automobiles is about to happen with Steve Martin just staring at her while she just makes this pretty, like, who cares kind of video going after Poilievre over, like, vagaries.
Pierre Poilievre is a bully. He's a bully. We've watched him lie. We have watched him mispronounce a name of another leader of a party of Canada.
He never mispronounced Jagmeet Singh's name unless she's talking about like Francois Blanchette, and I don't think she actually cares about him at all. He never mispronounced Singh's name. He called him Sellout Singh because people in the Sikh community were already calling Jagmeet Singh Sellout Singh because Jagmeet Singh is a sellout.
On purpose because he can. We've watched him treat reporters with disdain because he doesn't like being questioned. We've watched him flounder when he's asked a question he's not expecting. We've watched him throw people out of his little soirees of hate because they don't agree with him.
Soirees of hate. Pierre Poilievre getting up on stage and saying, I'm going to axe the carbon tax, get rid of the gatekeepers, deregulate all this stuff. Hate soirees. And the people she's referencing, like, started, like, shouting in the middle of the rally. Is her definition of free speech just people get to walk into a private event and just start shrieking and flailing their arms and try and get into fights with people? What I don't get this point. The idea that lefties who believe in hate speech laws and that people should go to prison for thinking about a joke, that's basically what is in some of the new hate speech legislation, that if you have the potential to say something hateful, they can stick an ankle monitor around you, say you're not allowed to drink alcohol, and a bunch of other crazy little, like, regulations that are in the law that allow the government to do whatever to you if you're just accused of maybe potentially saying something one day. But she's very pro free speech in terms of shouting at other people's events. Can't say a joke that she doesn't like, but invade an event, perfectly fine. That's your free speech.
We've watched him do a lot of things that are wasting Canadians' time, wasting the time of Canada as a country as a whole. We've watched him create division.
I don't even know what that wasting time point meant. He's an opposition leader. He actually can't really waste anybody's time. He doesn't have power in Parliament right now.
In Canada, we've watched him allow hate to grow exponentially. We've watched him do this.
Poilievre keeps investing in those hate stocks.
When he brings the second vote of non-confidence against the Trudeau government, if it fails, like the NDP and Bloc have already said they're going to support the Liberals. If it fails, I think that Pierre Poilievre should be forced to step down because what it's showing is that the government does not have faith in him.
Oh my goodness. Do you know that when I pulled up this video, it wasn't from like a cringy liberal TikToks account. It was an account thinking that this was fire, that this lady was going off and saying some truths or whatever. I don't know how people talk on TikTok. Like that to me is like the shape of a liberal voter who doesn't know what they're talking about. Somebody who's very political but doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm not saying anyone who votes liberal. I know tons of people who might vote liberal. Articulate on the reasons why. I disagree with them. Very nice people. Maybe they don't know the issues very well, but they like that the liberals are like protective of their pensions or something vague like that, even though no party's going to cut the pension programs or something ridiculous like that. The liberals are massive conspiracy theorists, and every single time there's an election, they pretend that the conservatives are going to push you down the stairs and take away your pension from you. But regardless, that is, and I've gone door knocking around a lot of areas of Canada, and every once in a while you do bump into somebody saying, well, the conservatives, they're growing hate, there's division, they don't like people's free speech. He was attacking a reporter the other day. He's in league with Putin, as I've seen other people post. Based on what? Nothing. They are liberal cheerleaders, and this is their job, to just quietly talk about how Pierre Poilievre, he's a dangerous man out there. Oh, he's doing things like I don't know what this is, and I'd love to see a version of this scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where he just starts screaming about taxes, because that's how I feel right now. Anyways, I want to move on to talking about this hacky publication called Cult MTL, Cult Montreal. I don't know if they're funded by the government. It wouldn't shock me, because I don't know who is reading this and paying these people for this very thin content. It mostly just references other sources, and it goes on for like 3 paragraphs. It'll just highlight something that another source already reported on, but then frame it in the most anti-conservative way possible. The first one I want to talk about today is this article that they posted, and it reads in the header of their X post: the prospects of a Poilievre government are more likely to induce unease among Canadians, particularly women. Just 1 in 3 Canadians are hopeful about a potential Conservative government under Pierre Poilievre. And I've read this article. There's almost no point in me bringing it up on screen. I will, though. It boils down to them not understanding an Angus Reid poll. They are asking all Canadians, what do you think about a Conservative government? And you're only allowed to either say hopeful or fearful. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of people, especially there's still going to be undecideds, because the number does not add up to 100% when you add up the fearful and hopeful people. But that's basically just saying, are you voting for the Conservatives or are you not? And then a bunch of new Conservative voters, when you pitch them the question, are you fearful or hopeful? They're like, I don't know. Like, I'm just voting Conservative because the Liberals and the NDP have failed. There's a lot of people who are going to be like that. 35% is still way more people voting Liberal, way more people voting NDP, and I believe that would probably be a higher stat than the Liberal and NDP numbers combined on some days. But what do I know? The Cult MTL is just here to pump up any particular bad, microscopic points in these polls. They don't want to talk about the rest of the Angus Reid poll. Like, I'll bring up another stat from them right here. I'm just going to close this article from Cult MTL here. Sorry for the camera bouncing around, by the way, guys. I'm missing a bolt in the thing that holds my laptop, and every time I touch it, it wants to like vibrate quite a bit here. But this, I think, is a good way of summing up how bad that poll question is and how unrepresentative it is. Right here, it's asking people their opinions on different policy prescriptions. It says, do you think it would be a good thing or a bad thing if the CPC formed government and did the following? Balance the budget, lower income taxes, increase jail time for criminals, increase defense spending, close Canada's borders to immigrants. And even that question is worded, the immigrants question is worded in a pretty harsh way. Really, I would have probably worded it, do you think that we should lower immigration to like 100,000? Down from 500,000 per year, something like that. You'd have a lot more people saying yes to, and even more people say yes than no when you account for the when you don't include the undecideds. But so when they ask people and they say, "Are you fearful or are you hopeful?" Well, people sound like they're very into all of the current Conservative policies. So anyone saying that they're fearful, just go back and look at their questionnaire and say if they actually liked the ideas that the Conservatives were pushing for. Because I will give it to Angus Reid, for the most part, those policy prescriptions are pretty much what the Conservatives are running on. Although the bottom one, encourage the privatization of healthcare, is worded not very well, and it makes it sound like you're just selling off the hospitals. That's not what the Conservatives are proposing. Every Conservative in every province and federally just want more delivery options, which is not the privatization of healthcare. And even then, guys, let's just compare it to what we currently have in a full public system. It's oddly terrible. We are like one of the worst healthcare systems in the world, when you average all the Canadian provinces together. And it's just because it's horribly managed. We have great nurses, great doctors, and there's no incentive to actually deliver medicine. Administration is through the roof. But now I just want to move on to the next article that they wrote. This one says, Pierre Poilievre's silence on Russian right-wing propaganda in Canada is deafening. Oh my goodness, wow. Pierre Poilievre's silence on an issue that has nothing to do with Canada is deafening. Justin Trudeau's silence on the unrest in Equatorial Guinea is deafening. Jagmeet Singh's silence on the Swiss chocolate controversy is deafening. There's no connection with this Canadian Russian right-wing plot that has anything to do with Canada. Tenant Media was started by Lauren Chen and her husband, and they were paying creators who were already generally anti-giving Ukraine aid more money to promote their shows. And one of their creators was from Canada and covered some Canadian political issues too, never even made a video on Ukraine. And by the way, all these people, I believe, live in the United States. Tenant Media was from the United States, and there is no other right-wing media connection in Canada at all. There's literally nothing to the story. And when you read through it, they just rehash what I just told you here. And then they just say, and Poilievre's silence is deafening. I'm like, okay, but what's the actual connection that his silence is deafening about? There's nothing. You could just say, Poilievre's silence on this murder that happened overseas is deafening. I'm like, I guarantee he is silent on a lot of issues that have nothing to do with him, because it has nothing to do with him. Ooh, scary. I can't believe Pierre Poilievre wouldn't talk about something that doesn't concern us. And this is a good way of just ending it off, just highlighting, honestly, just the gutter quality of a lot of anti-conservative memes these days. This person's name, who's Canadian anti-Trump Poilievre or whatever, Mo Ford Smith, any conservative or semi-conservative person in the country. And it says under Pierre Poilievre's name, delivering for Putin, and under Justin Trudeau, delivering for Canadians. And when we talk about delivering for Canadians in the context of Justin Trudeau, apparently they're very happy with all the debt and taxes that he is delivering up to us, with the added benefit of having very poor services. But Poilievre is serving for the Russians or Putin because I don't know what they're even talking about. It's not even like there's a story that they're misinterpreting. I literally don't know what they're talking about. Maybe 7-8 months ago, actually it's been even longer than that, almost a year ago, there was the story of the Conservatives voting against a Ukrainian trade deal. We already have a trade agreement with Ukraine. This was an updated one where the Liberals just shoved in the word carbon tax into it, and the Conservatives voted against it because they're we already have one, and you're just trying to make us vote for the carbon tax to try and call us hypocrites later. That's been the only thing in the past year that the media has tried to spin as the Conservatives not being pro-Ukraine or they're being pro-Russia or something. And that's it. There's just nothing out there. But maybe actually I'll bring up one more video just because sometimes you can't find places to fit this stuff in. This is Melanie Joly at a press conference today, in which I just really want to just promote Alex Zoltan's account on Twitter, because I thought this was a great clipping by him. He does really good sort of miniature edits on the videos where it doesn't get in the way of what's being said in the video or what's being displayed, but it just kind of adds a little bit more texture to it, to put it that way. So make sure to go follow him, Amazing Zoltan on X, really great account. And he's saying that she's answering all these questions, or she starts her little speech off here, her little presser, like she's Miss Carolina, and just starts talking about conflict around the world in the most generic way possible.
Hello everybody, bonjour tout le monde, ça me fait plaisir de vous voir, it's a pleasure to see all of you. So, first and foremost, we know that there are many tensions in the world, definitely in Asia. There are 3 wars also happening in Europe, in the Middle East, as well as in Africa. And we know that there's a link between what's going on in the world and what's going on at home.
Yeah, that's your liberal foreign affairs minister. Aren't we in such a great country right now? Anyways, I do actually really like Canada. I just don't like the liberal government part of Canada. But if you guys want to support this show, go into the description below and click on the Give, Send, Go legal fund. We're fighting a Chinese billionaire in court trying to sue us for defamation, and in almost 3 years now has still not submitted any reasonable evidence that we had defamed him, because we didn't. We literally had a writer mention him in an article and linked to a long Globe and Mail piece about him, and we added no new information other than he donated to Aaron O'Toole's 2020 campaign. So if you want to donate to that, really helps me out. I've paid more than $33,000 now defending myself, and yeah, also helps me do things like buy better laptop stabilizers so the thing stops shaking around like a paint shaker. And then, I was able to recently buy a new microphone and a new camera, because my last microphone, which was great for a while, just decided to not work anymore because I guess the connector disconnected. Whatever. Terrible stuff going on in the world of tech and me. And then, so you can also donate through the link in the comments. I have it pinned at the top. And I guess that's it for me today, guys. Have a good one. Like, share, and subscribe. All that fun stuff.